Hello there, and welcome to Now You See. I'm Cameron Kirby.
And I'm Fatma Ali. Today we are looking at some key issues from the recent federal election and the impact the change of government is having on the A.C.T.
As promised in the lead up to the election, the new coalition government has begun implementing changes within the Australian public service.
The government has put a freeze on hiring new staff across the public service. As Sarah Boyer reports, this is making it hard for young job seekers in the Canberra area.
Since 2010, the federal coalition has claimed that if elected into power, it would trim approximately 12,000 jobs from the Australian public service. Total public sector job losses from budget cuts, a hiring freeze and the dismantling of agencies may reach 8,400 within the A.C.T, according to the Community and Public Sector Union. A recruitment freeze within many departments has made jobs within the sector much more difficult to obtain, as 19-year-old Ruby Sim has learned. Ruby has been actively trying to find a job within the public service for the past 2 years.
I really want to build a career within the public service so that I can climb my way up the ladder. I really think I can reach my potential in the public service.
Ruby has no doubt that finding a job has become much more difficult since the Coalition's announcement of public sector job cuts.
I do believe that since the election was announced, it has had a massive impact on recruitment within the public service and has made it so difficult for people like me, school leavers, and even the older people that want to have an opportunity within the public service. It's made it so hard to get in.
Beth Vincent from the CPSU believes that the Coalition's figures are concerning and the union are lobbying the government to save public sector jobs.
We've been running a long-running campaign called Cuts Hurt and Public Services Matter. So that campaign has been focused on the fact that both sides of politics really need to be aware of the fact that the public service does a really crucial job and it provides services that all Australians rely on.
While the CPSU has calculated that 8,500 jobs are under threat, Tony Abbott has yet to release exact figures.
So we know that big job cuts are coming, we don't know where they're happening, and right now there's no movement anywhere. So most agencies have had a hiring freeze on for a substantial period of time. We know that there's nobody coming in. We also know that fewer people are actually retiring right now. They're waiting to see what's actually going to happen, and we're seeing a lot less movement across the service.
It is expected that specific figures will be released by the government around October 18. Until then, young people like Ruby continue to look for employment.
Much has happened in relation to the issue of public service cuts in the past few weeks. Now You See Sarah Boyer joins us live to give an update. Sarah, what are the latest developments in relation to public service job cuts?
Well, Fatima, it's not looking good for public servants in the A.C.T. Last week, the Minister for Employment, Senator Eric Arbets, confirmed that 12,000 jobs must go in order for the government to reach its goal of saving $5.2 billion over the next 4 years. So there has been a complete hiring freeze across the entire public service, and it has been announced that job vacancies must now be filled internally, apart from exceptional cases that involve Indigenous and graduate programs. The government has claimed that the job reduction will occur through natural attrition, but it has been seen that many employees have already been offered voluntary redundancies. While it is uncertain how many jobs have gone at the moment, the government has announced that all non-ongoing positions must stop at the end of their current term, which we expect to affect around 1,400 positions across the sector. And the government's also scrapped in the last couple of days 12 advisory bodies, which included the Animal Welfare Advisory Committee and the High Speed Rail Advisory Group. So as you can see, Fatima, there are huge changes happening across the public sector and not everyone is happy about it.
Thanks, Sarah.
Now to the issue of marriage equality. Same-sex marriage has been occupying the minds of federal and A.C.T politicians in recent weeks following the passage of the bill in the A.C.T to legalise same-sex marriage. The bill is now being challenged by the federal government in the High Court, and some members of the gay community fear the bill will be struck down. Kirsten Houseman reports.
Gay marriage is a prevalent issue in Australia, and it is affecting many of its citizens. I sat down with Luke Shan, an openly gay man, to discuss his views on gay marriage.
Some people think of marriage as a very traditional man and woman, and they always go to the Bible and quote, a man and a woman together. But love is love. And if you're in love, why not get married?
Luke has friends that have fought for equal rights. But is their approach effective in getting the government to sit up and take notice?
I don't think that the gay community should be forcing. I think it should be, I think that the really, activist gays are actually making it worse. They're trying to force the issue and people shouldn't be forced. It should be something that they come to on their own.
So do you have a proposed idea to try and fix this problem?
Well, no, if they can see that same-sex marriage is good for the community, so if they look at New Zealand and all the other countries that have, just New Zealand because it's closer, and all the other countries that have done it and see it's actually been, a good thing for the community, not just the gay community but the straight community as well. It's bringing everyone close together and it's a really good thing. If they can just see that instead of all looking at the negative aspects of everything. And I think it's just a basic human right, really. Yeah.
Another person who agrees that there is more work to be done is Ben Travenger, who is a student at the University of Canberra and has his own opinions on how this issue should be approached.
Do you think there should be more education given out to
for sure, to younger people. Yeah, I think that's really important actually, just so they understand what actually is happening. Because even I know I'm not as informed as I would like to be about certain issues. And I think that it's important that if young people are informed, they can then take that into the future with them and help with the frontier. But
one thing's for certain, there's more needed to end this ongoing debate. Kirsten Housen reporting, Now You See News, Canberra.
And Kirsten actually joins us live in the studio now. Kirsten, since you've compiled this report, there have been a number of developments, including the federal government's decision to challenge the A.C.T's bill in the High Court. What's the basis of the federal government's challenge to the bill?
Well, the court is going to hear 8 legal questions that they'll have to consider. The main one, and the most important one that the federal government is trying to push here, is that the territory law is inconsistent with the Federal Marriage Act. And now, since the bill has been the bill has been passed, there was uncertainty as to when the hearing was going to take place. And they've now decided that it's going to happen over 2 days, the 3rd and the 4th of December. I mean, it is likely that the High Court will still be considering their decision when the first same-sex marriages take place from December 8 onwards. And it is unclear at this time which way the High Court will go, but if they agree with the federal government, then many same-sex couples who are planning to get married in December will find that their marriages will be void. So there's a lot of changes happening and we're not really sure what's going to happen until that hearing occurs. Thanks.
Thanks, Kirsten.
Moving away from serious policy issues, the final story today goes behind the scenes at Parliament House and takes a look at what it is like to report on the federal election. Cameron Kirby spoke to 2 political reporters about their experiences on the campaign trail.
The press gallery is quiet now. 6 weeks ago, journalists were caught up in the mad world of the election campaign.
The job is to follow the 2 leaders, document what they do, transcribe press conferences, ask questions, and to basically catalogue their actions over the 33-day campaign.
It is all so very stage managed that it's frustrating for any journalist because you are used to not being that stage managed. That's the quality of journalism.
And our job is to try and punch through that.
You've just really got to manage your health on these campaigns. You've got to manage your sleep. You've got to manage your mental health as well, because it can be a lot. And we were working 5 weeks straight.
Both sides do keep a very tight control on the media. The Abbott camp did that was a bit more proactive in that regard.
It limits the access that protesters have for gate crashing any events, and also limits the information and the counter campaign that the opposition can run.
Not surprisingly, being creative with technology has helped more than ever this campaign.
And do a quick Google search while he's still talking and say, right, Mr. Abbott, you said this. That can only be a good thing.
Well, politicians haven't quite figured out how the 24-hour news cycle should be run.
Your whole life is being controlled by somebody else. You've been told to go into a bus, then onto a plane. You're told where to stay for the night.
There are some amazing characters out there, some awesome men and women who just make you proud to be Australian. Restore your faith in human nature. I reckon I met a few of those along the campaign.
It is a lot of fun. The camaraderie within the press gallery is great, and we'll gladly do it again.
Cameron Kirby, Now You See.
And that's it for this edition of Now You See. Thanks for your time, and bye for now.